Okay, so we have with us today Dave Fortna, who comes to us from Duquesne University, and we're going to talk a little bit with Dave today about graduate school opportunities through Duquesne University. So, Dave, we're going to kick it off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with Duquesne University.
Sure. So again, thank you, Tammy and IUP and everyone else for doing this. This is a great opportunity. My name is Dave Fortna. I'm the Director of Graduate Enrollment Services at Duquesne University. So there's 3 people in our office, the Executive Director, myself, and then a administrative assistant. And we oversee and work with the entire institution. So we have over 90 graduate programs. We have a proposed medical school coming online in 2023. So we are really a one-stop shop for all of your postgraduate educational needs, except for engineering to a large degree. We have some engineering, but it's not our mainstay. So we're really here just to talk a little bit about the various offerings and how you can stand out as an applicant.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, and that's interesting. I didn't have that knowledge about the medical school, so that's exciting. And
Yes.
definitely in a great location in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with all of the various institutions that are there, or healthcare systems. So.
Yeah, so it's right now it's a proposed school of osteopathic medicine, so a little bit different from Pitt and schools like that. So versus it's a DO versus an MD. So that's proposed for 2023. So we're excited to see where that takes us.
Yeah, give people some different options there then.
Yes.
What do you find that students like best about Duquesne University?
I think so. I've been at Duquesne for coming up on 2 years, and I come from, I did my undergrad at Penn State, grad at Pitt, worked at Carnegie Mellon, and now at Duquesne. And Duquesne offers a big school environment, but also small class sizes, very intimate setting. I think a lot of schools talk about this one aspect, but Duquesne really lives it, and it's this idea of community. And you really get that sense. Like, I've not really been to many other places where, students, faculty, staff really all come together in one environment in this way. It really brings collegiality to a whole new level. So, I mean, community is the one thing that I think really stands out. Obviously, our location is second to none. We overlook Pittsburgh, the rivers. I mean, it's just a beautiful campus. As you can see from my background, this is our academic walk. So it's always sunny on the bluff. So this is a little bit of what you have to look forward to if you join Duquesne.
One of the things I noticed when I have visited Duquesne a few times is that you're right, it's right there in the heart of the city, yet when you're on the campus, you don't necessarily feel, there are parts of it that feel like it's in the city, and there are other parts of it that feel much more small town, I guess, or
Mhm.
I can't find another word right now, but.
Yeah, I mean, it really takes shape into be your traditional college campus, but in an urban location. So we've got green space, we've got our own quote unquote border space, but unlike some other urban locations where you don't know where one starts or ends, ours is very defined.
Yeah, agreed. So what makes Duquesne University, well, this kind of plays right into this next question too, what we're talking about. What makes Duquesne University, in your opinion, unique from others of its kind?
So I think one thing that I found in exploring the various academic offerings and the school, obviously, again, location, the environment, but something I really think stands out is that, especially in today's time, ethics is infused in everything that we do, right? So it's really ethical decision making, humane decision making. How do you put people at the center of whatever your discipline is? So whether it be engineering, law, healthcare is obviously very person centric. An MBA, our business side of things, psychology, it's really just focused on doing good for others. I mean, that's sort of part of the mission, and we really, again, live that day to day. So
That's impressive and not easy to do all the time. So it's good to hear. You can tell that you have a passion for Duquesne University, and you worked certainly at many others. So that speaks volumes. So what are, I'm sorry, losing track of my questions here. What is something most people don't know about or would be surprised to learn about Duquesne University?
Something I don't know about. Well, I guess the proposed medical school is a big deal. So that's newer. I think, as far as our law school really stands out amongst the field. We've got one of the top legal writing programs in the country. The law school has a bar passage rate, which if you're going to be a lawyer, which is extremely important, that generally is in the second place to the University of Pennsylvania. So, it's really, it juggles every year, obviously, but it's really in that top tier caliber. But you have this small class size, it's very well known, very prestigious institution. Healthcare is something that Duquesne is very well known for. So our School of Nursing, which developed the first fully online PhD in nursing program. So, you can come and do, almost 12 years, I guess, of your nursing education at Duquesne if you really want to. So healthcare is a big one. We've got a phenomenal environmental science program that really encapsulates everything that our region has to offer. So topography, water, air, some of the issues around, fracking and environmental. Our College of Liberal Arts is just a standout. We have Tasha on the line with us. Our clinical psychology program is, one of the top rated programs in the country. We have just world-class education, but it's a very tangible education as well.
That's great. Those were definitely some things I did not know, so I'm sure that others did not know them as well. What are important aspects of a graduate application or things that you might recommend students include?
Yeah, so your undergraduate transcript is the one constant across all graduate degrees is going to be looked at. And now some people will think when they're applying to grad school, as a freshman, once we were all, generally in college at some point, and sometimes your freshman year is not so hot, right? Or you change majors along the way and you really find your passion in your sophomore year. Well, we look at your transcript holistically. So if your first semester or your first year is not great, and maybe you were in chemistry and you just bombed OChem, but now you're applying to be in an English program because you found a love for writing. Well, we're not going to hold that poor grade in OChem against you. We're going to look at the entire part of your application. Second, depending on the type of program, GRE or a general entrance requirement test is broadly required. More technical programs, the Ivy Leagues are actually starting to go away from the GRE for test bias and a whole host of reasons, but mainly in the humanities, right? So your more technical programs are still going to have that. If the program asks for it, something I really stress is your personal statement of intent, whatever your writing component is, in two components. I want to look at it because it is a measure of how you write. Can you complete a sentence? What is your grammar? Have someone, this idea of just like with a resume, 6 eyes. Have 3 people look at your personal statement, not only for the grammar, but then also for its content. So when you're writing it, are you talking about the institution specifically? Are you talking about what brought you to this point where you want to pursue this academic discipline? What do you hope to do after the degree? It's not just enough to get the degree, but what is your goals with it? Beyond just spending a couple of years at Duquesne. So we really want to see what your motivating factor is to gauge how you're going to fit with the program. So not every we'll use clinical psych as an example. Not every clinical psych program is like the one offered at Duquesne. So why are you choosing this area? I'll stay in the humanities. We have a phenomenal philosophy program that focuses on phenomenology, right? So how actions and instances of time affect a state of mind and way of being. I may have messed that up a little bit, but I think that's the general sense of it. Is that the discipline that you're hoping to go into, right? How do you align? So, and those are really the there a lot of different factors go into the application, but those are really the top three that I would focus on right off the front.
That's great advice. Aren't you glad I think that? But seriously, you said some things that I didn't even think about sharing with students. So thank you.
For sure.
What are some of the more popular and or reputable graduate programs offered by Duquesne?
So some of our most popular programs are unfortunately ones that people can't get into right away or in the traditional graduate program. So we have and that's changing also based on undergraduate demographics. So physical therapy, physician's assistant, OT, occupational therapy, speech language pathology are some of our most popular, but those are direct feed from our undergraduate population. Our occupational therapy is looking to have some spaces moving forward in the upcoming year, so there's opportunity there. Health sciences is a big area. Our School of Education is actually one of our larger enrollment populations at the graduate level. So we've got, it changes fairly regularly, but we'll call it roughly 30 different types of degrees that you can get within the School of Education, ranging from being a classroom a teacher in the classroom to an education administrator to what we call people services. So working in the counseling, mental health, addictions, child psychology, that realm. So education is extremely popular at Duquesne. But again, I think the nice thing is with offering over 90 graduate programs, we really do have something for almost everybody. So.
Right, that is a high number of graduate programs, no doubt.
Yeah.
Some colleges and universities don't even have that many undergraduate majors, so that's interesting.
Especially for our size, I mean, we're a school
Right.
of about 9,000 students, and that's about 60% undergrad, 40% grad at a given time. So it is a large number of programs and that also speaks to the size of the class, the programs that you're going to go into. You're not going into a graduate program of 200 people. They're generally anywhere from 10 to 50 people. Short of the law school, obviously bringing in 150 per class, but that's also broken up into divisions as well to make it a bit smaller. So.
Good. So I think our last question, but we'll see. What is one piece of information and or advice you'd like to leave us with today?
Yeah, so I think advice would be, there's a couple things. Take time and visit campus, connect with the program to learn if it is the right fit for you. Grad school is an expensive place to try to find yourself, right? So if you're not sure what path you want to take, get a job, go and work for a little while. Contact Kelsey and Tammy in Career Development at IUP or wherever your school is, and have them help talk through these different options for you. If you are sure of the path you want to go, connect with the school and make sure it's the right fit. I think fit is the number one thing about grad school are the alumni doing what you want to do? So look at the alumni base. Are the faculty doing what you want to do? Do you want to work side by side with these people intimately for the next 2 to 5 years, depending on your level, master's or doctorate? So that's the positive advice. Something to stay away from would be, when we say reach out, do it just like you would be networking. Do it sort of diplomatically. Don't call every day. Don't email every day. It takes time to process things. If you send us your transcripts on a Thursday, we might not have them by Monday morning. So give it a little bit of time to do your follow-up and check-in. I generally, just like networking, if you submit something, give it 2 weeks, 10 to 14 business days to really start following up. At that point, it's a good time to follow up. If you submit and then follow up the next morning, you might not get a very warm response in all cases. So we try to be warm and welcoming at Duquesne, but if you're applying elsewhere, you might not get the same response. So
it's good. That's good stuff. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Dave, or any questions from anybody else?
Tasha, do you have any questions, or Kelsey?
Yeah, I did. So I was looking earlier online at your clinical psychology program, and I noticed that first-year students are completely funded through GA assistantships.
Mhm.
How does that play out for other years as well?
Yeah, so it generally carries over. They re-review essentially the pool of money and what work you're doing. So when you get an assistantship, you're paid, or you're getting tuition remission in lieu of working in some capacity. So you might be a graduate assistant your first year, your second year, maybe you're a TA, a teaching assistant, and you're teaching classes. So they review that on a yearly basis.
Okay, thank you. I know, like you said, graduate school is kind of an expensive endeavor, so
yeah, it can be.
Ideal.
It can be, and there's a common misconception, and it's unfortunately trending away, that don't go to grad school if you're paying for it. That's just unfortunately not the reality of today. Even 10 years ago when I went to grad school, it wasn't the reality then. It's shifting away from that. Even at the doctorate level, there is some funding available, but funding normally comes from grants. The government and nonprofits are scaling back on the grants that they're giving, outside of big schools, Harvard, Yale, schools along those lines, right? So grants take up a lot of that money, so it has to come from somewhere. So it still generally comes from tuition dollars. Yeah, anything else?
I don't think so. I was just looking at some of the data, and I really liked what I saw, and I know now it's not really a time where we can go and visit campus, but is there any way to look at campus virtually?
Yeah, so if you go to duq.edu, right on the landing page, there's a virtual tour that you can go to, and takes you all through campus and gives you facts and figures and highlights. When campus does open up again, we will welcomely invite anyone to campus. You can either contact our office in Graduate Enrollment Services or the programs directly to set up tours, information sessions. We've really, at this point, utilized virtual. So we have a lot of our faculty are meeting virtually with prospective students. So our application generally opens up every year in July for the next cycle. So our 2021 application will open early to mid-July for students to start applying to, and that'll continue on through the year. So you can look forward to applying as early as July.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions, and Dave, if there's nothing else you would like to share, then we will close our session today. But thank you so much for spending time with us today, Dave. And certainly anybody that has questions, I hope they will reach out to you and maybe take a look at the link that you provided here relative to graduate school applications to Duquesne University.
Sounds good. Thank you all for having me, and happy to answer questions if folks want to reach out directly. My information is online somewhere.
Okay, and we can certainly provide it if anybody reaches out and wants it as well. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.